I guess we can start. So, first of all, hello everyone. I'm Scinece, the Vice President at the SPE BHOS. So, first of all, I would like to say that we are ultimately glad to see you here on the second day of the ROCFest. As you all aware of that, this day is dedicated to petroleum industry. So, in this session, our guest is Shahriar Al-Khasli, and today we will be discussing the science and innovation in oil and gas industry. And additionally, we will be talking about opportunities and AI link. And before I'm leaving the stage to Shahriar Bey, I would like to point out that if you have a question through the meeting, please do not hesitate to type your question in chat section or to raise your hand. So I don't want to take your time. I guess everything's clear, and I'm leaving to stage Shahriar Bey.
Well, thank you, Shane. I also want to thank everyone who made time and joined this Saturday, almost evening, to the presentation. First, I'd like to just remind about myself. You pretty much seen this poster and the description of myself. So just want to add that. So starting from 2013, I have been doing the R&D, basically research and development solutions, and pretty much enjoying it till now. And I think that the more you do it, you get addicted to it as well. So and I keep continuing on that. And here, basically, it's a very short bio about myself, where I studied, what did I do, and which type of the projects generally I got involved so far in AI Lincoln Center, where I currently working as a full-time person, and I'm a director and a senior researcher over there. Alongside with that, I also do teaching at Azar University, used to do it in other universities as well back at that time when I was doing good in my time management, but currently I'm not that good probably in my time management. But research is quite a time demanding thing. So straight to the point afterwards. So first, as Shane also mentioned, please feel free to interrupt me anytime. Please feel free to say I'm wrong if you think so, but please justify it. All right. So I'm open to arguments. I'm open to discussions all the time. And also we have a chat. Yeah. Uh, Shane, I will just ask you to help me if some questions arise in the chat. Yeah. So to let
Okay,
me
I,
know.
I will wait. I will wait.
Yeah. Yeah. Just stop me anytime. All right. Yeah, and the more we put in a discussion way, really, and the better for us. Don't wait for a just Q&A session, which we will also have, of course. All right. So as you seen from the title, science and innovation in oil and gas industry, right? So it's quite a broad, and probably when you think that it's only gonna be all about the all fancy things happening around, because we are kind of already spoiled by people on Elon Musk, and I mean types like him. But to be honest, I wanted very briefly and quickly to start with the very first, breakthrough event which has the science and innovations in them, and which happened throughout the history with the petroleum industry, because those ones are equally important. Without those ones, the ones which are today won't be possible, right? So that's why I wanted to highlight several of them. So, and all the time I using the pictures, I will be noticing, I mean, pointing out on the sources which I found out in the internet. Yeah. Sometimes I won't tell them because they will be on the slides. So just to give a credits to those people who made these materials possible. First oil well, yeah, I mean, and first oil tanker basically were the breakthrough events for the industry, and both of them are related to our country. And that's where we can say that it all started. And look at the dates, it's the mid and the closer to the end of the 19th century. So that is where SPE International basically keeps the count on the historical events. Yeah. Afterwards, we go to 1891. Gasoline engines, yeah, Daimler Motor Company. Pretty much everyone probably heard about Daimler, which is owner of the Mercedes as well right now. Everyone likes them, but that's how basically in 1891 all of this also started to be possible. Yeah. So that for now, right now, engines are quite it seems to be very simple and the usual thing, but imagine to have such a thing back at those times. Yeah. And the drillers, yeah, so drillers started to advance. Yeah. And in 1909 it was first introduced roller cone drill bit by Howard Hughes and Walter Sharp. Yeah, so I think that was one of the steps to towards the more efficient, drillings. Yeah, so oil demand was increasing. They needed to be efficient and optimize everything. So conditions of the days forced them to act and to invent. So back at that time, even such a simple things did not exist. Uh, so moving one by one, electrical logging. Yeah, nowadays it's also very typical. I mean, simple thing, but it was introduced back to 1927. Then we also got some controlled directional drilling because I mean you always start with a simple, right? I mean, even I mean, it was just a vertical to drill. It's not an easy thing because of many risks and all of that. But Eastman back at 1929, he started to do some directional drilling which he could control. I don't know for to which degree, but there were successes. Catalytic cracking. So that's one of the important things in terms of the refineries, and where we basically do what the. I mean, this is process of the separations, right? Intense heat, catalysis. So it is splitting the heavy hydrocarbons. Yeah. From overall, so that was the for the industry also a big step forward. So that corresponds to 35th year. And then horizontal well drilling. So this is also onshore. This is related to onshore horizontal drilling, and it also happened in Soviet Azerbaijan back at that time. Yeah, so another quite remarkable thing for our country. Hydraulic fracturing, pretty much possibly all the petroleum engineers nowadays have heard about hydraulic fracturing, and especially during the events happened to the year of 2014 and 15, US shales, yeah, frack and pack, which dropped the oil prices a lot, yeah, and then industry got mad because of those, but some companies got rich because of those things. But first time it happened back to 1949 in one county, Stephens, yeah, in Oklahoma, which is in US, and one county, small county in Texas. So Halliburton, it was the first one which were successfully doing that. And yeah, I mean, again, back at that time, how you frack the well and why you even want to frack your reservoir layers, all those were not that obvious to people. Yeah, and imagine just how much time, effort, I mean, passion was spent for that. Yeah, so all of these events were remarkable in history. So offshore drilling, back to 49. SPE International basically claims as the first happened in 4-1, the Brenton rig. So yeah, did it first, and basically after that, many fields starting and put on the production. Yeah, and nowadays, as you all know, we have so many offshore hydrocarbon fields which are under development. Subsea wells, uh, 61, the year 61, first done by Shell company, another oil giant. Yeah, working on the petroleum industry. So if in case you haven't got an experience of hearing or reading about subsea wells, it's, the kind of of alternative technology which has some advantages, but you're basically placing a lot of equipment, let's call it this way, on the, on an offshore, but on the bottom of your sea. Yeah. And that quite have some benefits, a lot of benefits for those who does it. Semi-submersible rigs, yeah, Baxter 62, Blue Water and Shell has done it, and nowadays also popular, especially for example when you are in an exploration phase, right? So you don't know for some period of time, uh, are you gonna get the oil or not get the oil? So the regular, platforms like jackets and all of that, jackups and all of that, which you usually put afterwards. I mean, you do not want to invest to them yet, so you anything which is movable and all of that. Yeah? So what do we do next? Logging, um, but this part date back to year 71. What was very important that the first logging system combining gamma ray, SP, spontaneous potential, induction spherical, focus resistivity, sonic caliper. So as a set of the several tools, they have done it basically for the first time. And the oil field service company, giant service company, Schlumberger, could do that back to 71, all in one. Yeah. Uh, so there is a wording that the diamonds are friend of girls, but not only, I would say, it's they are also friends of the drillers. So they put their diamonds into their drill bits, yeah, and that's where our polycrystalline diamond compact drill bits came to the place first time, yeah. That corresponds to year 1972. We shortly call them PDC drill bits, yeah. As you know, since the oil became quite crucial in the world of the industries and people life, yeah, more and more demand, more population, and it means that the more oil you want to find or gas, new basically reservoir layers, rocks you are facing, and you need to invent basically new things. And drill bits in general are among one of the top things in order to success in that. You need to invent those, right? MWD, measurement while drilling, oil giants, service companies. I mean, they're all advertising this as a crucial, and all operators do that. That's for quite an advanced companies and even mid companies is a must to do things, kind of, yeah, measurement while drilling. But in reality, measurement while drilling was introduced back to 78, as you see. So first time by Teleco, yeah, company, and now it's a kind of a must to do thing. And as you know, big companies, service companies, they have a absolutely separate, right? Absolutely separate independent department just for MWG. Electrosubmersible pumps. Pumps are everywhere. It's not just about the oil industry, right? It's generally about all industries. We have pumps in, oil industry. Obviously, people have pumps in their yards, yeah, in order to get the water from their wells, which are drilled for, I don't know, 10, 20, 30 meters. Yeah, they also put the pumps over there, but to make it electrosubmersible, which means that you basically, yeah, you're placing it into the well. That was quite a deal, and especially imagine in a well, which are usually, yeah, kilometers and stuff. So we, as an industry, could do that back to 1980. Um, Horizontal drilling offshore. So that's another remarkable, because in offshore, drilling onshore and drilling offshore is usually, two different stories. Drillers can, support the statements, but horizontal drilling, if you remember, as we said, that horizontal onshore happened in Azerbaijan, 1 year, but drilling offshore happened 82. 3D seismic. Now we are moving also to things. Probably some of you, was asking yourself, wow, there is no anything on seismic or geology and stuff like that. So 2D seismic, so usually, they always existed. Always kind of, but the 3D seismic are another story. So you're basically doing it like a grids, right? In comparison to 2D, and that was another step forward for better production, optimization, field development of your fields. And again, where that has a huge implications on the sweet spot detection for the future well targetings. Understanding reservoir. General behavior. Where are the sands? Where are the shales? Where are the structures? Mostly, where are the faults, if possible, to see them. So that where that happens, it was 82, but in 83, another very popular thing, LWT, logging while drilling. Yes. So, everyone knows that when you do that while drilling, either measurement or and especially logging, you're saving such a huge amount of time, right? Because when while drilling did not exist back at till the 83rd year, till the year 83. So what you do, you drill, you need to put your tools into that, do the measurement, pull it upward again, and then drill, and so on and so forth, and you're losing so much time, and time is money. So invention of these technologies, LWT, the first quantitative, was also done in the resistivity sensor by Halliburton. 3D seismic models, that is more, into the computational powers more. So because as it was noticed here, the year 82 bring us 3D itself, the seismic as a data, and they were processing, but so they also started to see that the more and more models are needed, and more processings are needed for seismic data, because seismic data is always huge in terms of the memory and all. But uh, look at the year 1991, and it's even claimed over there that a 3D seismic model processed at supercomputer workstation. So I guess you imagine what I mean. Back to 91, supercomputer meant. It is, the regular laptop or so of the current days. Even if I was a child, that was such a toy thing. But they were building the machines, the rooms, of computations and all of that as much as they can, and as good as they can. And it was quite expensive, and they were trying to do their seismic processing back at that time. Why it was possible? Because oil and gas sector industry is rich. Let's put it this way: they do have resources, they do have money, so they afforded it. For the seismic monitoring, another step in '94, it was done with a company called CGG, quite a big one as well. In terms of why we call it 4D, it's just time lapse. So you have 3D structures of your reservoir, but during the production, many things are changing. Amplitudes and responses, as most of what changes is a fluid distribution. So usually you have what oil, gas, and water. They are changing. You do water injection, gas injections, and many stories around it. So you wanted to see dynamics. So 4D seismic back at that time was done first by '94 with CGG. Liquid natural gas. Imagine that such a simple thing like we see right now on a commercial, industrial, and wide scale was done first by Qatar, and Qatar opens the world's first major LNG exporting facility as on a big industrial level. back to 96. So I mean, why? I mean, the physics, let's call it this way, the physics behind the liquid natural gases might be not like that of a rocket science. It's back at that time. I mean, earlier to that date, that compression and storage stories for the LNG were known, but they think that prior to that, probably there was no such a big need to do LNG. Yeah, and as you know, also with the gas, it is the huge um, games of geopolitics. Yeah, I mean, oil prices are playing ups and downs every day and every minute, but I mean, gas are, I mean, gas trades are based on contracts. Sometimes they, I mean, on a local markets in US, it's also playing around in each state how they sell people and all of that. But between the countries, there are contracts, and also a lot of geopolitics happens. And LNG was done late, but it was a big step for in this considered as a big step because LNG can be transported also easily to somewhere. Sonic imaging. Sonic imaging, for those who never heard, um, highly advised to go through that. Schlumberger first did first commercial sonic imaging job. It is quite expensive as far as I know, even till now. It was in 96, but not all companies pretty much affording doing it, but it gives huge benefits. Yeah. So-called intelligent wells. Uh, what is intelligent about them? So basically, it is a well which can be monitored remotely. So you are sitting somewhere in 100 meters or kilometers distance and all of that, and you can do something to your well, let's say, such as closing it, close the choke, close the well, yeah, and all of that. And it happened in Norway first time, yeah, in the field Saga and PES. 97 was the year. Extended reach well depth record, so 10 kilometers, so quite a long extended reach, yeah. Well was drilled by BP back to 96, and it's not the deepest well. You can check for the deepest well ever drilled in general. So dual activity drill ships. So Transocean was able to come up with an engineering solution when they have a drill ship where they can do a couple of things simultaneously. In this um, scenario, they were doing drilling, testing, and completion at the same time. Yeah, and they have done it to on a 35 feet, and water up was 10,000 feet. So quite a, I would say, not at the best conditions, but they were able to do that. Subsea
Shahriar Bey,
Christmas. Yes.
we have one question in chat section.
Good. Sorry, I cannot see the chat,
No
but
problem
yes.
there. Tali asks that, are there
Uh-huh.
any intelligent wells in Azerbaijan?
Yes. Yeah. So, and even beyond, I would say, and even beyond, there now we call them even smart wells. I mean, an industry in general, I should say that industry in general, even trying to step towards the solutions when they become even autonomous, basically where human interaction almost reducing. I mean, you do algorithms and all of that in order when something happen, the well reacts itself. Is I mean, without even waiting for a person to do something, yeah, for engineers to do something. So it all going towards those autonomous stories. But though that part is mostly under the development, it is from the part of current and future developments. But for now, intelligence, yeah, which have some remote monitoring, yes, they do exist. Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure, sure. So subsea Christmas tree. So I just mentioned the subsea before, and I mean, you all know what Christmas tree probably, yeah, that nice thing, which saves, I mean, lives, yeah, because of the safety and allows us to produce and all of that. But on a subsea level, imagine on a seafloor, basically, yeah, where it was handling 15,000, sorry, psi. Yeah, it first done back to 2001 by the company called Cameron. I guess it is Schlumberger's now. Managed pressure drilling. Uh, Drillers never stop exploring, and they shouldn't stop because there are more and more challenges. Yeah, and I mean, you need to invent, and to do safe drilling. You probably, I mean, went through the concepts. I mean, especially PEs who already studied the drilling engineering. We went through the concepts of the overpressure, losses, kicks, and blowouts, and all of those stories. Yeah. So managed pressure drilling, which was introduced in the years 2003 and 5. Yeah, I mean, it was another breakthrough, and not any company can do that. I could have said that probably. But yeah, it allows, drilling also beyond conventional leanings of different depths, of pressures, and temperatures. Yeah. So, but mostly it's, of course, about the pressure. Now, what is more fancy nowadays? To be honest, as I said, I mean, the previous basically inventions are quite important, but now they become more even fancy and but also, of course, useful. Autonomous offshore robots in April 2018, and I'll show you also videos, and I will deep dive into this also more as this also more into the current and future developments rather than historical, because so far we go mostly I classify this as historical. But yeah, as you know, offshore special place, yeah. You can't have also as many people as you want there. It is not even good from safety. I mean, if it happens, something bad happens, reacts on people. So basically you are trying to invent the robots which will maximize your work and all. Yeah. And it was done by TU Darmstadt back at that time in 18. They are already working on the platforms. Yeah. Uh, by the way, also it was a quite a remarkable event. It's not about innovations, although I'm pretty much sure that despite the reservoir conditions and all itself, but people have done a great job in order to get such a oil production from a single well. So in a year 2018, single well production record was beaten. So it happened in a company, Petrobras, Brazilian company, right? Campos Basin, where a single well gave 60,000 barrels of oil equivalent. Uh, sometimes, and not maybe even sometimes, but there are plenty fields in a world which cannot produce, entire field cannot produce such a rate. Yeah. So it was a quite a big number. And at the end of the 2018 year, yeah, the biggest SPAR platform was sent to the deployment, Equinor's one, yeah, in their harsh conditions. So that was the also, we can classify it as an engineering masterpiece, I would say, yeah. Uh, yeah, so those were, and in each of these things which we mentioned, there were scientific and innovative approaches where people really did breakthrough steps and all of them. Yeah, so that's why we basically give them the credit and we recalled all of them. So from now on, I'll just park for maybe a couple of minutes here, just if anyone have a comments, questions, because I will move afterwards to the more of the things related to current and the future. So any questions, any discussions you would like to open up, please feel free.
Still, there is no question in chat section. I see.
Anyone speaks up? No, everyone is shy. Okay. If no questions or discussions to be initiated, let me then go to full screen mode. Can you see it full screen again? Yeah.
Yes, we see.
Okay. All right. Now, sorry. Now let's think of the things related to innovations which are more current and upcoming. Yeah. So before that, there is a big four audit companies in the world existing, and one of them is the PwC, PricewaterhouseCoopers. So just found the search from there, where oil and gas respondents. There were, I think, like the stakeholders, managers, and all of those people. Yeah, they were asked like, how important is innovation is to success of your company now and in 5 years time. So is it really mattering? Yeah, because probably not companies need innovations. They are targeting for something small but all the time. Yeah. Some companies, they go big, and they want to change the games. So are how they answered. So the dark, the brownish, I would say, yeah, the brownish is how they see the situation now. If innovation is important for their company now, and if the innovations for their company will be different, and how it's going to be in 5 years time. Yeah. So you see, very small percentage say that it's not important at all or unimportant. Some, let's say, do not know, probably because they claim neither important nor unimportant. A lot of people would say that quite important, and the majority say very important, a competitive necessity. Yeah. And for those, just see that for those who answered that, I mean, in quite important, now it's 7% more, yeah, than here, and here is the same picture. But for those who are answering very important, they also think that in 5 years' time, it's also going to be even rising. So each companies, not each, sorry, a lot of companies and people in a lot of in those companies, at least let's say 50% of them that in a 5 years time it's going to be competitive necessity, so very important, and 37% say quite important. So if you sum up that positive answer, it makes 88%, right, in a 5 years time. So it's quite a high number. So said that, let's look at one of the summary by Startas Insights, where they basically, bring some, summary and indicated the startups. Yeah. Upfront, I want to say that when you see, or I mean, when I was talking prior to this, I was naming company names, and I may name startup names and all of that. It's not about, obviously, I mean, advertising purposes. I'm just trying to 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 share with you what I could find and what I was experiencing with so far, right? So right now, the industry itself, we call it 4.0 industry, right? Industrial revolutions 4.0. And in that 4.0, these are the trends, and there are some specific examples as well of the startups, yeah, which are going to transform the industry in terms of efficiency, safety, and smart solutions. Efficiency means everything for us. What I mean, efficiency is to do faster, to do better in terms of money, cash. Yeah. Safety is to save lives of people and save the environment. Yeah. And smart solutions are done in order to be competitive, such that the other companies will not beat you on the market. Yeah, especially related to service companies. But when you overall see the directions, what can we see? So here are the 10, highlighted ones according to the 2000 startups worldwide. So these 2000 startups, imagine, though these ones are working for the oil and gas industry. 2086 startups were identified according to February 2021. Of course, not all of them are successful. Yeah. To my latest knowledge and observations when I was reading in internet, from 3 to 7% startups are considered to be successful. Yeah, but obviously in terms of computer science, technology, and all of those this number might not be that high. But for oil and gas industry, 2000 identified startups, which means that they already or shined somewhere, it's quite a high number. And what they do Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, so 22 and 19% correspondingly, big data analytics, robotics and automations, 3D modeling visualizations, cloud computing, virtual reality, augmented reality, manufacturing execution system, predictive maintenance, and blockchain. Yeah. So 10 directions. Here you can see some examples out of them. And you see, so what you can see from the right plot, I mean, from the right chart and from the directions, they are not even those ones, I mean, directions which are originated inside of oil and gas. Yeah. The world becomes a place where integration of many, many, many things are happening. People are still, working in directions which are purely originated inside of oil and gas industry. I mean, logging while drilling, yeah, measurement while drilling. They still do improve those, and they still do work on them, but they are already kind of felt to people as a default, as a must thing, but new solutions are coming out. That's why I separated this section to the current and the future one. So from now on, I will give you some examples about some of the selected by me directions. And let me start with the Internet of Things. Was probably some of you deep dive back at that time into the Internet of Things concept. In fact, Internet of Things is everywhere. And I would say that probably oil and gas industry as itself is behind of many other industries, but it is there. So you see this upper picture, the person, a cloud, and so many things are kind of coming to him, and that's true, right? So you have a text messaging, you have a data collection, heart rate right now. Yeah, people are buying their watches, yeah, those smart watches, and it's collecting the heart rates and all of those data. So all of that actually related to Internet of Things. Yeah. So in general, in oil and gas industry, it is done to improve production, optimize equipment, yeah, and ensure the safety. So how it works? So typical sensors, different type of sensors. It might be acoustic, magnetic, whatever it is. They are placed inside of wells, yeah, inside of blowout preventers, BOP, choke valves, yeah, which enables to open and close, and they provide real-time data collection, yeah. So basically that data is used by oil and gas companies afterwards to identify different things. Where is a leak, where is a faulty things, what works good, what works bad. And basically on the picture on the top, you see a specific, schematic of oil and gas example, for example, in an oil pipeline. Yeah, there are also time after time different valves and all, and there might be a leak, for example, or so. So inside of those places, you have a sensor. It passes the data with that sensor to gateway. After that, by internet connection, Wi-Fi, it goes to cloud. And from cloud, you do what? You collect over there. Afterwards, you do data analysis. Yeah, I mean, you in the cloud, you basically shape it basically into the format where you can work with it. So management looks at this, and enterprise response systems are looking at this. So you are doing your decisions and things based on that. So that is about the what we call it, Internet of Things, right? Artificial intelligence. I'm pretty sure that everyone so far heard about it. It's a hype in the world right now, and not it. Okay, so yeah, artificial intelligence, and obviously also found its application and in oil and gas, and
Да
finding,
что ты, черт побери, такое несешь?
finding the application in oil and gas industries. Yeah, so what is it about? So you have, it's like a set of algorithms which will help you to optimize again, yeah, to solve the complex problems, even in the places sometimes where people do not have a solution and do not see the solution, yeah, because there might be relationships and all of that where you cannot see with your naked eye. Yeah. And afterwards, that's why you pass those problems, data driven problems, to your algorithms, and they are trying to find the answer. So far, according to the one sources, I found that the biggest kind of success stories were kind of identified, yeah, which were related to what? So oil companies with the technology companies were working together in order to solve various different problems. So they tried to optimize surface data subsurface data analysis. So it's basically you have porosity fields, permeability fields, and all of those. And you're trying to find the best,
Ержан, Ержан,
production strategy and on. Yeah. So Total company, yeah, we all know Total Energies. It's basically worked with Google in order to do that AI implementation. ExxonMobil also worked, yeah, with MIT in order to detect oil seeps, which are happening in the Gulf of Mexico. So imagine what was cool about that study and about that project, that MIT robots, they were basically walking on the Gulf of Mexico, bottom of the sea, and taking samples, doing analysis and all, in order to detect oil seeps, because those oil seeps will allow them to have a clue on where are the future potential oil and gas fields. So also in the drilling, machine learning algorithms also found their application. Yeah, Shell already do that. There is in ML the direction called the reinforcement learning. So they applied that over there. And AKBP and Spark Cognition, they have done predictive maintenance. What is predictive maintenance? I will also show in the upcoming slide, but generally, I mean, it's about, when the tool is working and it's gonna fail, you need to know upfront. So that's basically the story. Over here in the schematics, I have provided also several algorithms and subsections of those. Some of you have seen them. But yeah, those are for your references, to look at. So I mentioned generally predictive maintenance. Yeah. So what I mean, we can basically which type of summary we may have. So imagine you have a tool, and one of the tools which was quite popular throughout the years in the industry is a pump. The same pump. Um, so how you can treat it, right? When you do have pump, it means you bought it, you spent a lot of money on that, right? And you need to care about them, yeah. Well, but there are different strategies and possibilities towards it. So in general, predictive maintenance algorithms allows you, engineers, to quickly assess equipment, its conditions, and offer maintenance solutions. Because generally what you may have, let's say, a reactive approach. So you see on this picture is the step one, when someone breaks and you go quickly fix it. Yeah. You may have also some preventive approach. So you maintain something at irregular intervals so it doesn't break. So what it means basically, for example, when you drive your car, you continuously refreshing your oil, right? In order to have a smooth work of your car. So that's more or less kind of is preventive as well. But predictive, what is also about predictive maintenance is when it predicts exactly when the break will happen. Okay, so you do not wait, and you do not yourself, change something each month or each 3 months. Yeah, so what you do instead, you pretty much sit and relax, but algorithm tells for you to you when you need to do maintenance yourself. Yeah. And mostly, the industry in this predictive maintenance domain, mostly. So I would say that this is current stage. And there is also even another stage, which is prescriptive. Yeah. So that is when the machine helps you to decide how to avoid predicted failures. So it has in it the module of the predictive maintenance, but alongside it just doesn't tell you that when your break is going to happen, but at the same time it tells you how to maintain it, how to do actions in order to fix that future, yeah, maintaining. So these pumps and all of these things are happening really in the oil industry. Oil industry is full of pumps. You're using electrosubmersible pumps in your wells. You're using on the surface your pumps for water injections, and similar to pumps, you are using compressors. You can do predictive maintenance to compressors as well.
Shahriar Bey, we have
Yeah,
question in chat
go ahead.
section. So
Uh-huh.
Farid is asking that in order to make innovation in an oil and gas industry, we must have an experience in the industry and at the same time knowledge of AI, IoT, or etc. is required. What do you suggest students in terms of finding perfect starting point?
Okay, cool. So this was I'm going forward a bit, but this is the list of skills which IBM kind of classified in terms of how you need to do innovations, which skills you need to have in order to do innovations. Yeah. So as you see among them, big data related information management, and this is, they particularly have written it for even, future oil and gas, basically. Yeah. So data related, soft skills, as you see, also on the second place, customer experience strategy skills. Why customer experience is very important. When you try to invent something, it means that it should be used by some people, right? It shouldn't be some an invention which will, stay somewhere for a very long period of time and no one uses it. No, invention should work. So it means that you all the time should speak to customers. Yeah. So customer experience strategy skills are very efficient. So you see, customer and soft skills are quite efficient. And after that comes depending on your situation and all of the many things. Advanced data analytics is here, software development is here, project management, machine learning also among those, yeah, data visualization. So this is the list. I will be able to share with you again the slides so you can even follow this one by one. In terms of experience, yes, of course you need, because to do something new, to do something valuable, which will be used in the world, uh, unless, I mean, you are an Einstein, bro. I mean, you need to spend some good amount of time, but even he did that, right? I mean, although he invented his biggest things at the age of 20s, yeah, 2021, but nevertheless, I mean, all of those requires experience, requires a lot of effort, passion, hard working, and many tries and errors. Yeah, so I wouldn't say it's an easy piece of cake. um so yeah, so this was about predictive maintenance. And if I may to continue, uh the robotics example, yeah, and drones, as you know, right now quite popular. Yeah, they can be used for so many purposes, starting from the wedding cameras putting on them and doing videos, going to the travels and making nice shots of the our planet and the nature, and oil and gas industry. So particularly what people have done so far to in the oil and gas industry. So this is example of Shell, oil giant. So what Shell has done, they have a drone as in a picture, and they put this special sensor on them, and those sensors were detecting on their plant where the possible leaks are happening. Where are the possible leaks? Gas leaks, yeah. First, they want to detect it because the optimization of the gas production. Yeah, I mean, if something is leaking, you are short on a gas, you can sell that gas and earn money. That's number one. And number two is that you do not want to harm environment. As you know, nowadays it's a hot topic, and there are many entities and governments are really pushing on the companies on that. So that's how you may use drones in the oil industry. Yeah, and this type of robots. That robot is the one which I already introduced, 2018 robot, North Sea. He was working in a platform. I have put here the link for the video. You'll be able to see it. And one more thing, satellites. There is a company, GHT, which works for the oil and gas industry. So imagine that they have satellites, yeah, and what these satellites do. So you basically collecting the data from the sensors of those satellites, and they particularly, as you see on this picture, yeah, they are measuring the methane at different locations, yeah. So you see they have algorithms to process the satellite images and do AI part on it, store them, and so on and so forth. So in order to map them like this, so that's the current and the future as well. So part of it, I mean, it goes under remote sensing in general. um I'll probably skip this for now. because I see that I didn't do well in terms of time. So I will just, because I also promised saying like to talk about what we do in Khazar and what are the opportunities. In general, I should say that um, in our center where I work, in each projects, we are trying all the time involve students, so that they get real experience from the bachelor times. Yeah, and as examples, we have plenty examples where people who have done, bachelor during the bachelor's or master's their research with us, then they applied for Masters of Science studies overseas, and they got admitted on a full scholarship based in top universities in the world. It is U.S. universities in California, Stanford, Texas, Colorado, in New York, and in Europe as well. There are our alumni, yeah. And what they have worked on, they have worked on, to be honest, different projects, because our center, Lincoln does really different type of projects. So this is, high level of them. I'll tell now, because of just time limitations, shortly. I mean, we do pure geology related, geoscience, geophysics related, where we apply AI, artificial intelligence, algorithms, and signal processing uh, algorithms in there, in order to process and extract the best value from the seismic data, and in order to find in the future, that algorithm is going to be taken and used where to put your wells, what are the best strategy for field development. We are improving the reservoir characterizations and all. We have used machine learning in production technology. As you know, in Azerbaijan, there are most of the fields are sand layers where the production is going, right? And when you have such situations, it means that you have a sand production. So there are sensors on the wells, yeah, which are producing. I'm sorry, which are recording the different level of noises, and there are also other associated data. We are using machine learning technologies in order to, to say that this noise is due to sand, this is because of other things, yeah, because sand production can lead to catastrophic events and things which industry wants to avoid. Yeah. Um, Also, what our other directions include is a numerical thermodynamic modeling. You can see it on the slide as well. We have worked it for wax precipitation, so it's also chemical engineering related. Yeah, so we also have many students who are from chemical engineering departments and computer science departments as well, because we do software development, toolkit development. So it's basically when we integrate different solutions into already existing softwares. Yeah, and also it's not here on a slide, but we also started in terms of the web development, because many solutions right now, our clients also wants them to be on a web-based application. So basically, scientific and innovative solutions right now moving also towards the web-based applications. So that would be pretty much in terms of the innovation parts. So to be honest, what I skipped so far are just some surveys, these type of surveys with some numbers. Yeah, but generically, I think that I covered pretty much it. So thank you very much, and happy to have a discussion and answer your questions.
Thank you very much for very informative presentation, Shahrabi. I'm waiting for the questions, actually.
Can I ask my question?
Okay,
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Thank you so much for the presentation. More than 1 hour, also to organizers, SPE BHOS members. I have a question. Also, it can be a suggestion. It's a little bit complicated. Is it possible to create a strong energy source together, if we try to link, to connect the development of technology at oil and gas industry with the technological developments in the industry of other energy sources, something like can we use some technologies to decrease the carbon emission at the using of oil, and this oil will use it at the other energy sources, something like maybe solar panels or wind turbines, and from these ones, solar panels maybe, can we get the energy.
Okay, thanks, Mehdi, for your question. So, for example, you see these drones detections and satellites. So, for example, they are particularly aimed for example, reduction of those carbons and methanes, because those are the greenhouse gases, right? Yeah, so what the industry doing right now, first, they even want to reduce what they are already emitting. Yeah, because if you are reducing that, you are already doing a great job. I think what to do afterwards with those gases, would be this also the next stage. But generically, so for example, if you heard that BP's oil giants, the strategy is what they and other companies as well, they aim for so-called net zero. Yeah, so zero emissions by the year of 2050.
Yeah,
Current, yeah, so that aspirations, and basically they're reducing till the death, basically. Also, what's industry, I mean, what have been done in US, and but it is, there are many specific things. I mean, you can also inject the carbon dioxide into the reservoir layers, and you usually do it into already depleted oil reservoirs. So because those wells are already drilled, right, and your reservoir is empty, there is almost no oil, so you cannot extract it. So what you do, carbon capture and inject it, so not going to the atmosphere, but inject it there. But generically, how you can use the gas in order to increase the efficiency and, I mean, energy. In fact, right now, gas generically, greenhouse gases, I mean, one of them, which is a methane, it is used for electricity generation, right? So if we reduce that and increase renewables such as wind and all of that, there won't be, bigger need in gases. So I think by this type of the optimizations, you can reach the goal.
Okay,
I don't know. Could I answer your question, really?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay. I think Emil Cindy had a question. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. My question might sound inappropriate to discussion. May I call out?
Go ahead. I mean,
Okay. Yeah, there should be techniques or mechanisms Azerbaijan do not use, right?
yeah.
Yeah, one of cons most probably is the high expenses. But if the pros overweight the cons, why don't Azerty give it a shot and use them still?
Okay. Yeah. That's quite a good one. So, for example, if you look at this plot as well, let me very briefly. You see sorry, not this one. Sorry. Yeah, this one. Critical factors versus capabilities. So IBM survey and their study revealed that, yeah, I mean, there is a big importance. That's the dark blue points, but capabilities at the hand, yeah, which are existing in a company's organizations or in a country in general, they are not. They are behind. Let's call it this way, due to these reasons. So if you read these reasons in a specific countries, in a specific companies, in a specific teams, one of them might be a reason. Someone's teamwork is not good, someone is not agile, someone doesn't want to share knowledge. So you see there are different options. I think IBM pretty much prepared 10 of them. But all the time, also, what the overall the strategies are. Yeah, there might be pros and cons, but also it is always about the also business side. Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's really really good, to do cool things, but do those cool things really bring money? Unfortunately, I mean, innovations are driven by money. That's probably may seem like, I mean, not that cool, but it is the reality of the world. Yeah. And for example, let me bring you an example. Imagine that you are in a country and you know that the wind renewable are cool. Yeah. And you have a budget and even capability to do many wind factories. Yeah. And put them, but it's not only about the generation of those electricities. Yeah, you also need a system in order to deliver that electricity to homes. Yeah, so do you have that? So the problems are usually complex, and you may be lack even on other prerequisites or other things which are needed, and you may not have those. So yeah, if you could have bring
Yeah, I
also.
understood. Yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we don't use solar panels frequently. And yeah, okay, thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Sure.
Okay, we have some questions in chat. So Rufana asks that what innovations are most suitable for Azerbaijan's oil and gas sector and steps of deploying them?
Cool question. I, to be honest, so look, what I think in general in terms of innovations for Azerbaijan as well, right? So far we have a history of the one of the industries, right? So oil and gas industry. So many people nowadays will say that, but we are going off the oil and gas in general in the world, and renewables, all of those are true. Yeah. And we need to, as a country, as people, we need to diversify ourselves. But diversifying ourselves doesn't mean that we get rid of that, right? In general. So that's why already existing problems, which are in the oil and gas, they are quite important to be solved. And one of the very first ones which I would solve for Azerbaijan oil and gas industry, it is, starting from the even very beginnings, it's relating about the data shapes and data availability, data, their formats, and what is possible to do afterwards. Because, in Azerbaijan also there is a, let's say, couple of companies, I will not name, which do have quite experience and quite a good data shapes and all of that. But there are also many other entities which are even behind in terms of doing AI, ML, because of the current data warehouse, the current databases, how they are located, where they are located. Some of them are still on a paper. Yeah. So when we will be able to digitize all of that, a lot of opportunities will open up. I believe into that, and we will be able to also use our already, established strengths in terms of the geology, geophysics. Yeah. But generically as well, I would like to also say that I mean, our future, innovations should be also oil and gas. I mean, oil and gas innovations should be also very tight to, the things which are here. Let me once again basically show that to you. I think that Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, cloud visualizations, and all of them basically listed here, they're pretty much possible to do in our country as well. But we need, before that, we simply need to do some prerequisite work.
Okay, I guess this question is answered. Well, we have some questions more. Nijat asks that how is it possible to combine petroleum engineering with IT? And the second part is one more thing, how can we apply to EALink R&D Center? Thanks, Mehmet.
Okay, so oil and gas and IT. So if I may, just to bring you even a single example, in the world, I mean, many companies basically they are using, softwares. And oil and gas softwares, which do many calculations, they can always be optimized both from hardware perspective and software perspectives. For example, many of you, especially those who study in computer science related disciplines, heard about the GPU computing. Yeah. So parallel computing and all, I mean, so back at that time, there were no softwares available on GPUs. First, GPUs were not that popular, obviously, but even after they became popular, that transition did not happen fast. So knowing things like GPU, I mean, especially now, right now, let's say I'm talking about things like CUDA. I mean, for IT people, it will be known CUDA technologies. And software development, web development. As I said, nowadays, what I see, the trend is going towards the scientific computations also on the web. Yeah, in oil and gas industry as well. No one wants to deal with the, desktop applications anymore because there are challenges of data transferring and all of that. Because when it's on the web and it is connected, for example, to the clouds, yeah, where the data is stored, if your peer, if your engineer friend has changed something in that folder, change the data, you'll know it. Yeah, it is synchronized and all of those stories. Regarding the application, yeah, link at Hazar.org, drop the CV and our recruitment team gets you to our database. We have a queue, but definitely when your queue is up, we call you. So drop the CV to link at Hazar.org.
Okay, thank you very much, Tahir. So we have some more questions. So related to EALink. Firza asks that to be part of the EALink family, is it important to have IT skills and a project? If yes, what kind of IT skills is required?
So it's not necessary to have it at the moment of admission and joining us. Because we are, when we are doing the selection process, we are looking for, technical knowledge, technical skills, researching skills. I mean, we really look how people think, how people solve problems. Yeah. So once we see that person has them, and of course there is also a competition, yeah, but then person joins us, and it is possible to learn those things during the work. And usually what is required is to know some programming languages in order to be able to do your calculations. That might be Python. So it will be, most of our projects require Python. Selective projects require C++, C#.
Okay, so we have two more actually questions. So it is asked that in terms of petroleum engineering, do you think there will be any new technology or startup that would change the field completely or partially in nearest future?
I hope so. Let me put it this way. I hope so. But I can tell that definitely people in the world are thinking about it. And I am myself among them. I'm not just thinking, but acting, I would say as well. Tough to say what is it gonna be. Sorry about that. So
okay, we have one more question, as I see. It's asked from Madna. What energy saving methods are available in various sectors of the oil and gas industry to increase energy efficiency and reduce energy consumption? For example, oil refining is a complex process it requires a certain amount of energy to achieve the production of specific oil products, and is an area of activity that requires about half of the energy consumed by the oil and gas industry as a whole. It's kind of a long question.
Yeah, I think I found that. I would just quickly read it once again.
Okay.
So for example, even a drones technology is from the energy, stories. For example, recently, imagine, so very simple example in the outside. Yeah, Equinor, so their platform was quite very close to the coast, okay, but it was offshore platform, and their battery of the drones allowed them to fly there and back. Yeah, so they took the drone, they sent it to the platform. The drone did 3D camera shots, videos, and it did inspection. It's not just for fun. Yeah, uh, and it was quite important for them to do inspection 3D from all the angles of view. If that wouldn't, drones technology wouldn't happen, they should have sent a helicopter in order to fly around and see the things around and all of that. So, but that's one part of questions, I guess, with example. But generically, for example, oil refining is a complex process to achieve the production of specific products. Yeah, in this area, with the half of the energy. Yeah, I mean, yeah, refining, yes, they do require a lot. But I wouldn't, to be honest, myself tell you about the ongoing innovations which are about, for example, improvement of those efficiency. I mean, there are in the oil refining, there are many equipment, there are many tools, and all of that, right? So I would, there is, to be honest, nothing which what comes to my mind right now from that perspective. From perspectives of general, I mean, that example which I said, but if you would ask from refining perspectives right now, I need to think. Maybe I'll figure out later and let you know.
Okay, thank you for your answer. As I see, there's no left questions.
Okay.
So, okay. Thank you very much, Shahriar Bey. It was very, let's say, enjoyable session for me, and I'm sure that all of us, we appreciate your efforts on presentation, and we thank you that you take a time and give that valuable insights to us. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much as well for participating, for your questions. You can reach me also anytime via, I mean, LinkedIn or anything like that. And good luck in your studies, and try to invent, research, and do steps like that. All right. Good luck. It was my pleasure. Have a good one, and keep safe.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.